Hey guys, Steve Rosati here. I'm talking to you about chord progressions today. We're talking about identifying chords. Um, Building a walking bass line is really important, especially if you're going to walk. We're thinking trad jazz. We don't want to listen to something that's kind of like a rock or funk beat in the background because that's not really going to help us develop our walking lines. Because really, when you're thinking of a walking line, you're thinking swing. And it's that accent on that 2 and 4. Now, I did a video on YouTube a few years back. It's a lesson. It's called Identifying Chords or something like that. It's basically playing all your chord shapes off every finger so that you don't have to basically play off of 1 and 2. A lot of bass players we see out there are using either their first or second finger to play either major, minor, or whatever, and you're moving around and you're skipping around the neck. Instead of thinking like that, we can think in groupings and moving off our fourth finger or off our first finger or second or third, which puts us into, it makes us think about the neck a little bit more analytically rather than thinking in chunks and shapes. Because really with a walking bass line, we want to move up and down the neck to really build sounds, because it is a simplistic kind of way of thinking. You're not slapping and popping things. You're developing interest by movement. And which is really important. But we have to be able to swing. So one of the things that I like to talk about is swing feel. So I have my metronome, if you can see this right here. So this is just a chord metronome. It's not one of the high-end ones. You don't really need a high-end one for this. I like to set it to 57. So 57 is, if we listen, should be able to hear that. Seems slow, right? Technically, I'm thinking about this as being 114, not 57. So 114 is where I'm really at. This click is not my 1 and my 3, but my 2 and my 4. Because 2 and 4 is going to be where you're going to feel the accents inside jazz, especially in a walking line. That's going to make you go from being square to to have it swing. So no matter what your line is, we want to start with the scale with this here. So if you know your C major scale, right? Which I hope you do. Doesn't matter what pattern you want to use for this. We're concentrating on the 2 and the 4. This is actually a hard activity to first pick up, because you naturally want to go to the 1 and the 3 with this. 2 and the 4 is kind of like the hi-hat on the drums, if you're thinking about that click, right? And if you played a little bit of jazz, if you played in school or wherever you played it, we want to lock in with this. Sometimes this gets overlooked, and overlooked quite a bit. So let's start with the C major scale. We're just going to run this real quick. Up and down with your click as your 2 and your 4. All right? Get your bass, and here we go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So keeping it that simple and building your line using your 2 and your 4, like I said, that is just scales. Just getting comfortable with that 2 and that 4 is going to change the way that you accent your walking line. Something as simple as that. So if you have a solid progression, if you have a solid understanding of chord structure and really playing through it, you may just need that 2 and that 4 to make it sound hip. Otherwise, it might sound kind of like a lame line. Which can happen because it's all about feel. And that's really a big thing, especially when you're moving between like playing playing swing on an electric bass versus swing on an upright. How you sit in the mix is going to change that feel too, if you're looking to fit into a traditional jazz sense. There's a couple things you can do. One of the things that you can do is look for an acoustic bass, look for a fretless bass. The nature of the instrument is to sit a little bit different than an upright, because the body of the upright is the speaker. It's projecting a huge tone. You feel it versus hear it in a lot of ways. So for us, there's a couple different things that you can do to cop that upright vibe. One of the things that you can do is play up on the fingerboard. So once you have that click going, right? Remember 2 and 4, right? 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. once we have that click going, moving your hand up onto the fingerboard, the other thing you can do is palm mute. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and use your thumb. 2, 4. So let's get back out. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Both give you a really low thumpy tone. Another thing you can do is you can either stick foam underneath your bridge, kind of give you that foam sound, or you can use the thump made by Groove Gear. I like this thing. It's cool. I found a bunch of different uses for it beyond just using it as a mute, but it does give you that muted progression. So if I go in, now I don't have to think about my palm mute. I put my hand wherever. I'm still going to move my hand up the neck, just show you what this sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So right there, a little bit of both. You know, I have that thumpiness. Does it sound like a legitimate upright? No, but in the mix, it'll sound okay. So if you don't want to spend the bread on getting an upright, you can definitely kind of work between those couple positions. And moving your hand up the neck definitely changes. It changes the whole way the note actually acts, because you're striking in the middle of the string and you're giving it a different fundamental versus back here towards the bridge. Different sound, way different sound. So you get that tone by moving your hand up the neck. Palm muting. Palm muting isn't the same though. I would say better off by getting the mute and then moving your hand up the neck, or just putting your hand up the neck. I played probably like around the 23rd, 22nd fret. That'll give you that kind of tone. So the next part of this lesson is going to be developing walking bass lines. So we'll do that next time.